Hi, I'm your host, Erica Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hello, guys. I'm so excited for you to be back for another episode of Evolve by Erica, the podcast. Today, I have an incredible guest, Asha Walker, who has this nonprofit that just caught my eye and really guided me to have her here as a guest because she's doing such incredible things in the world, and it has rippled out into her professional life as well. I'm so excited for you to hear a little bit about Health in the Hood and what she's bringing to Miami and hopefully beyond in the up and coming years. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the other side.
I'm so excited to meditate.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you're here. So tell me a little bit, introduce yourself to the community. We have a community which you're familiar with because you've been following for a while, but very into health, wellness, meditation, healing, all of the things. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
It feels very much like home here.
I love
Like a space I feel so comfortable in. So I'm the founder of a not-for-profit called Health in the Hood. We build vegetable gardens in food deserts. So helping to alleviate food insecurity, connecting people to healthy food. And that's always been my passion, and kind of rolled that into now my personal wellness platform that is really just about creating your personal longevity roadmap. So I'm a holistic health coach and really trying to bring the message of health and wellness and spread that ripple effect across. Sounds hokey, but it really
I love it.
it's doable.
How did you get started with Health in the Hood? Like, that's really like, I was just like, this is unbelievable. How did that get started? Like, was it a seed, literally a seed? And
Literally, seed in my mind. Yeah.
When?
So my background is really, my professional background is in not-for-profit work. So I knew how to write grants. I knew how to engage communities. I knew kind of all the big community foundation players in Miami.
Is that what you worked for, like, prior to this career?
Prior to this career, yeah, I ran an AmeriCorps program, which is like the domestic version of the Peace Corps. And we would match young, service-minded 18 to 25-year-olds with not-for-profits for 10-month apprenticeships. So really just got to know the Miami not-for-profit community and really knew a lot of the players that it would take to start your own project. And my dad is the OG. We call him the original gardener. He's a historian of Black history and an author. And one of our side projects growing up, I did my bat mitzvah service project in an urban farm. Like, we had an urban farm that he started when I was like maybe 10, 11, and we always maintained it. We got a city grant. And so I can't take credit in Miami. Can't take credit for the idea of urban farming. That's my dad. You know, he grew up as a migrant worker growing up picking oranges in the state of Florida. And so it came naturally to him, the idea of serving communities and creating access. And I was like, you know what? We can do this on a larger scale. And so took his one garden idea. It was called Roots in the City. It was his not for. So I can't take any credit for the idea of urban farming as a concept, but the idea of building on my dad's not-for-profit, adding a nutrition component, adding an education component, adding a community engagement component. That's where Health in the Hood really sort of evolved, and wrote my first 3 grants and got them all. And that was 10 years ago. And we're still growing food, giving it away on a much larger scale than we were even 10 years ago. So the growth has been pretty impactful.
Can you take me, like, I love every detail of everything. Like, take me through this.
Yeah.
So your dad started that. He had 1.
Yep.
You were like, we can definitely scale this, help so many more people.
Yep.
You started with 3.
Yep.
All in Florida?
All in Florida, all Miami. There are 326 food deserts in South Florida.
So where are these?
So neighborhoods that are considered low income, so below the poverty line, underserved communities. So even over to, Miami, it's Overtown, Liberty City, Opelika, Miami Gardens. And for us, we take the asset-based community development approach. So we're not looking at a community for what it doesn't have. We're looking at what it does have. So going in and looking at this vacant land, I'm like, we could be using this for something a lot more productive than like mattresses and crime. Like, there's literally mattresses stacked up to the sky on these lots. And the idea of just, getting funding from different community partners, whether it's a foundation or a corporation or donors, was no new kind of concept to me. I knew that people wanted to give. If you're a 501c3, it benefits both parties. So that's the first step, is definitely getting your ducks in a row, getting your funding together. And then it's really pulling together the right players. So having the different community organizations, the youth group, the schools, the churches, the temples, the banks, the corporations. It really takes a little bit of everybody being at the table, and then, of course, community.
How do they get involved? The schools, the banks, all of those?
So word of mouth, and then it's kind of just such a beautiful idea. It really kind of just takes on a life of its own, and people are automatically drawn to it. They're like, "Wait, you grow food, and you can teach kids how to grow green beans, and I can add that to my curriculum. I'm so in." So you get one teacher that's invested, one principal that's into it, and you've got a partnership for 10 years. All of our partners last pretty much the entire span of the organization.
Do they go to you, like to your land, or do you go to them and push in and teach
It looks
the
like
kids?
a little, yeah, like a little different from site to site. So sometimes a pastor will call us and say, "I've got a piece of property right next to our church." Like a lot of times a church will own like a house next to the church.
Mhm.
And they're like, "We're not doing anything on it. Do you want to put a garden there?" That was one of our third sites. That was like 10 years ago. We're still growing on that piece of property. Sometimes the school will call us and say, "I've got a small area behind the science lab. Can you grow a garden there?" A YWCA might have a larger space in their play area. And then sometimes it's a piece of county land. So municipalities come into play. So you go to the county meetings, you go to commission meetings, get the land turned over, but it's all donated. So that's one interesting piece that is kind
The
of
land is donated.
land is all donated.
Beautiful.
But it's interesting. Like it's great for our bottom line to get the land donated. But if the city ever wants to sell it, when somebody's ready to build a big building on it, we don't have complete access. So there is that sort of fine line between, do you spend millions of dollars purchasing land because that's how you really empower a community, or do you, work on these sort of like yearly contracts where you're leasing land for $1 a year? But kind of an interesting balance that we're striking. But it's really been a model that people just totally are drawn to.
Oh my gosh. So what are you growing right now?
We grow everything in South Florida. We have like almost year-round growing season. So collard greens, kale, spinach, radishes, tomatoes, red peppers, green peppers, you name it. We really have like.
And how is it distributed?
So we have harvest days in the gardens. So we have set days depending on which neighborhood you're in. Monday, Wednesday might be Opelika. Tuesday, Thursday might be Liberty City. That people just kind of know organically. Like once we get there and like truckloads of soil are delivered and like beautiful plants are coming out of the ground, people just like are automatically drawn out of their houses. And the gardens are not fenced in. They're all open to the public at all times. So we really intentional about that. Like a lot of community gardening is like, this is my plot and nobody picks my asparagus. And we're like, no, your asparagus is our asparagus. And we all share. So they're all open. So people can come anytime, but we do have like designated harvest times. People can come and we'll bag up the stuff and we'll have, a lot of it is education. So for us, it's like, give us your kid for half an hour. We'll teach them how to plant a green bean, grow a green bean, and how to cook it and why it's good for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And will families come and pick like their produce for the week?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. These beautiful big baskets of produce. And it's like, you just see the empowerment and the pride just all over people. It's a complete shift from like, wait, this was a dilapidated lot a month ago. And now it's producing abundance.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably know this, but the energy and the nutrition that comes from plants and crops that are grown by you versus like traveling across the country in a truck or on a plane or on a ship, like that is the healthiest you can get. And like, of course, if it's organic and it's not being sprayed with a lot of things, but like the healthiest you can get. And how transformative is that for a community?
Yeah. And since we're in good company, I can talk about the vibrational difference and the frequencies that change. You can't talk about that with everybody.
No, please go off.
True. I mean, it changes the whole frequency of the soil of the whole community. I mean, it really is a vibrational shift that happens when you're growing your own food, eating food that you grew, and just having that empowering shift. It's very, very powerful. You feel it.
You feel it.
Absolutely.
There are 2 times where I actually experienced that in my life. So the first time I was at my friend's house who introduced me to like plant-based lifestyle because of something he healed through it. And we picked our salad and our bowl from his garden mostly. I'm sure there were some things like sprouts that he didn't actually grow, but someone else grew.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it, the foundation of the bowl that we were eating was from his garden. And as I started to eat it, I felt such a sensation on my third eye point, like such an activation there. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And then recently I was in Puerto Rico and I went to this it was so cute. It was called the Juice Box in Rincon. I don't know if you're familiar with that area in Puerto Rico. So cute, but it was the Juice Box. I was really excited because it was like my morning. We went to a place that I wanted to eat, like, like the organic spot in town. Very excited. So I ordered a juice. I ordered a shot. I ordered an acai bowl. but it was just so, you can tell it was so fresh.
Yeah. Totally different experience.
I ate it all like pretty quickly because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I've been waiting for this all week. And I said to my friends, like, I felt almost like sensory overload,
Mm-hmm.
just very heightened and activated. And I was like, oh gosh, guys, I like feel weird for a moment. Like it never came down. It's almost like when you get excited and you feel a burst of something and then it settles. It didn't settle. It like stayed with me.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, guys, I'm like feeling a little off right now. And my friend was the one to point it out. And he was like, I bet it's from what you're eating right now, because it was right after you ate all that. And you're saying you feel something. I'm like, you're absolutely right. That's what it was. And you feel it, you experience it in your body. And what a gift you're bringing to so many people.
Yeah. It's a gift to me. And I love to hear you talk about it like that way, because you're so in tune. I mean, you're the perfect person to really understand like what eating, living whole foods can do for you and how it can raise your frequency. That's such a beautiful experience. I love that. And I love that we're able to give that to people, whether they can tune into it the way you can. It's really a beautiful process. And it's so simple.
And even if they're not, it can lead to so many changes. Like when I first went plant-based, I didn't at all do it for energy or meditation or frequency. I was doing it from a place of just wanting to be like my healthiest self, very physical. I had a lot of health anxiety, and I thought that would help me. And what it did was it cracked me open to it. It elevated my frequency. It helped me bring in more life force energy and connect me more to the earth. And I started to feel all these symptoms of having a spiritual awakening. And then later I found my practice, which just like catapulted it. But it's whether people know it or not, or aware of it or not, it's taking place. And over time, it can bring so much to them.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have your own garden?
We live in an apartment. We're on the 41st floor, so it's kind of hard. So when I do, it's wonderful. But then when I have to clean it up in the winter time, like such a pain.
No,
but
it's hard.
There are so many ways to grow food in your house. Like now there are microgreens. Like there's a lot of easy ways. I do have an indoor, like a hydroponic little light farm, awesome garden, which is great and easy to maintain.
Yeah.
But like,
what are you growing on your
food? You can grow a little bit of everything. Cherry tomatoes. You can do lettuce, leafy greens. I've some peppers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
You can grow, and then we get so disconnected from like where food comes from, how easy it is to grow it. Like to your point, food travels 1,500 miles on average before it gets to your grocery store, and then lives in the grocery store until you buy it. So we're getting like old food, even when we're buying good, healthy food. So you can grow it yourself. I mean, it's the vibrational path that you want going throughout your meridians. I mean, it's just a totally different experience when you grow it yourself.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's so true. And it's like all of that life force is there when you pick it off the vine or the branch, whatever. Yeah.
It's alive. You're putting living energy into your body. It's just something better.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It really is. Wow. That's amazing. I would love to grow some food. My dream, like, you know how people are like, my measure of success is like getting a mansion or getting like the sports car. I'm like, I'm going to have a farm, and I can't freaking wait.
I know. And my husband thinks that I'm nuts. And I'm like, well, I follow all these like off-grid homesteading sites. And I'm like, just so you know, like we're putting a plan in place. We're buying land in Canada and this is happening. And I've got my girlfriend's a meteorologist. She's coming. My cousin's a doctor. She's coming. We're going to have a whole compound community.
I love
where we're going.
That's where we're going as a society, for sure. Whether people are ready to embrace it or not, I think I'd be forced to that. But
we're getting back to our roots, whether we like it or not.
Truly.
Totally. And who are on board are going to be on board. And those who aren't, my husband says the zombies are going to be banging on our doors. I'm like, well, they can come have
looking for organic kale and pepper. So funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but even like that community aspect of like living together in community, having those community roles. I love how you are mirroring that in what you're doing and how there is no fence. And it's like, no, this is all of ours. Yeah. This is our community. So powerful.
Yeah. Wow. Upon our little idea from 10 years ago, that's like, oh, this really can be extrapolated and scaled. We're looking at new cities to be growing into. Literally,
I was literally thinking
Chicago. You're saying up next.
Yeah, I see so much expansion.
It should be everywhere.
Yes,
we will be everywhere.
Yeah,
got an amazing team. It's now like it's not just me. The first 5 years was like just me for the most part, and now we have an incredible team. We are a completely female-led and operated organization, from our board to every single employee on our team.
Wow,
which is like
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't done intentionally. We've had men work for us, but
Yeah.
this is a much better fit.
And
You're right, you need women.
wow.
Yeah.
Is your dad like just so proud of all that you've created?
I think so. I hope so. He should be.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to share with you how, okay, I was an elementary school teacher. Did you know that?
I did know.
Okay. So you brought up like how disconnected we are from our food source.
Yeah.
And I remember being in school one day and the students couldn't wrap their head around like their food being from a farm and from animals. And
Yeah.
and it goes the same way with like going into a food store where we were looking for like the most beautiful ripe avocado. And we're like, oh, none of these are ripe. And like, where's the ripe, perfectly ripe avocado? And it's like, we're so disconnected from the process of what it takes to grow that it comes from nature, that we're able to nourish our body with this, and what a blessing it is. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on that because you're absolutely right. We're very disconnected, and it's amazing
Totally.
that you're helping to bring that connection.
Well, I mean, thank you for saying that. I mean, for me, it was like, it wasn't a complete model unless we included the nutrition component, what you do with the food once it's grown. It's wonderful. We have this innate connection to, oh my gosh, that's food growing out of the ground. Like, I want that. But if you don't know, like, actually how it got there and what seeds were used and how soil was used and the composition of the soil and how much water it needed, when you're part of that process, like, there's no going back. You never are going to be like, oh, I don't know how that cherry tomato was grown. You always know. And it just is this beautiful connection. That's a lifelong connection to where your food comes from. And this one simple, activity. We do a lot of like mobile gardening activities. We go to health fairs. We'll bring our like green bean planting activity and a little like container. Kids put a little green bean seed in it and they take it home and like just light up because green beans grow in like 2 seconds. You get a little spread coming up fast. And it's like, oh, okay, that kid now always knows that green beans come from something that you plant, come from a seed. Because yeah, like the grocery store, all that shiny produce, that is really not real stuff. And how it got there, kids are just totally, even adults, we're totally not a part of that process. And by design, like the idea of victory gardens that was not that long ago. The victory gardens were a part of how people fed themselves. But then once you start getting, subsidized crops like corn and wheat that make unhealthy foods that people then are marketed to and kids are uber marketed to, it's a whole cycle. And so it's really done pretty intentionally. But the beautiful thing is that there really is an awakening happening. I think that one of the silver linings of the pandemic was that people were like, oh, wait, inflammation is real, where our food comes from matters, and I have to take care of myself in a different way. So I'm grateful for that. But it's a process. It's definitely a journey for sure.
Totally. And now, how did you then get into everything else that you do as well?
So, it was a very natural progression. Like I've always been, I've watched my mom do Jane Fonda workouts growing up. Like I've always been into fitness and eating well. We used to make our version of fried chicken was Oprah's yogurt covered like baked chicken. It sounds gross, but like that was a fried chicken. So I always grew up eating healthy.
Yeah.
But then when you said health anxiety, that really clicked for me because by the time I was like even 16, I was already doing like ridiculous amounts of cardio and like really into like what my tummy looked like way too soon to be concerned about those kind of things. I think growing up in Miami probably had a piece to do with that for sure. And so it took until I was probably 30 before I started to really crack that code and figure out that like, oh, eating tons of food at once and then not eating for a long time and then going back to eating healthy and then binge eating stuff that's crappy for you is really a cycle that's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was like, okay, I ended up really a relationship that should have been ended years before. And I think that was a catalyst for like, okay, I have not been taking care of myself mentally, emotionally, physically. I work out like a crazy person, but it's not giving me the kind of nourishment that I feel like I'm needing. So I really just kind of committed to my healing and was like, I need to take care of myself in a more intentional way. And that's when I started to kind of like get quiet and think about how to quiet the chatter. And that's when I found meditation. That's when I started really thinking about taking care of myself as a whole person, not just like a flat tummy. And then I wanted to take that, right? It's not just like, oh,
What we think.
I have abs today. I must be doing great. Right. And so shifting that mindset and opening myself up to like, wait, I'm not just a human body. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And I want to nourish all layers of myself. And once I started to feel like friggin' amazing when I did that, I wanted to share that with more people. And so it was kind of a natural progression. I launched my personal wellness platform. Really, like I felt called, but also like I didn't even have a choice. It was like I had all these opportunities to talk about health in the hood and sharing wellness with different communities. And I was like, oh yeah, this feels right. So built out the AWW approach, Asha Walker Wellness. And it's just this beautiful community of like mostly women. And I'm just sharing tips and things that have really helped me come home to myself. There's like 4 principles that I really have found in the last 10 years that help me hone in on what things make me feel good and doing them in a way that are nourishing and not punishing.
Yeah.
So there, you're the cure is the first one.
I love that.
Like we just get so
I love that.
like we think like, oh, let me take that pill. That's going to fix it. Let me run on the treadmill for 5 hours and that's going to fix it. It's like our bodies were made to heal themselves. We just give them the opportunity to, and the tools they can. So you're the cure. The second is food and movement or medicine. Like, again, we pop a pill like it's nothing, but really using food and movement as the absolute tools that they are to help your mind, your body, your soul. They're tools for all of those elements. Becoming quiet is the third. That was a really important one for me. Like I always knew I could heal myself. I knew food and movement were medicine, whether I use them properly or not. But the becoming quiet was the biggest one for me because I have a racing mind. Like, I don't know if it's just the OCD or like grew up like very logistically inclined, but like it was getting to the point where I just couldn't hear my own thoughts. So getting quiet was really important. And then the last is root causes over Band-Aids. I think we also have this tendency to like pop a pill again, take a Tylenol if you have a headache instead of having some electrolytes or some minerals and some water. So really digging down to like, what are the reasons? Why are we not taking care of ourselves and what is causing the issues as opposed to like Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And those principles changed my life. Yeah. So I want to share them.
It's wild. I resonate so deeply with all of those. And it's so true. Like once you start to see in this way, like you can't go back to how you once were able to see things.
Oh, yeah.
And when I first started working with like a functional doctor, he was asking me all of these questions, and I set my husband up with him, and he got off the phone and he was like, this guy doesn't care about my health. He's asking me what I do during the day. He's asking me when I go to sleep. I don't even think he cares. I'm like, no, you're missing it. Like, he needs to know everything. He's like, no, he's just interested in what I do. I'm like, no, there's a role, please, a role. And it's true. Like every time I'm not feeling well, or if I have a headache, I do announce it. And maybe that's my downfall, where I'll be like, oh, I have a headache. And my husband's like, take an Advil, take a Tylenol. I'm like, well, what's the cause of this? And how can I maybe naturally heal this? And I think there's always a time and place for Western medicine.
Absolutely.
I think there's also so much opportunity for us to really turn to ourselves as the healer, as the cure, and be able to activate the healing within ourselves. I actually just got back from the Joe Dispenza retreat.
I know.
And
I can't wait for your post.
like all about that.
I'm currently reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
I haven't read that one.
It's my first Joe Dispenza,
like,
I'm obsessed. I mean, it's our people for sure.
Yeah.
But the retreats just seem like absolutely life-changing.
I recommend them for sure. I read Supernatural, Becoming Supernatural, I think it's called. I loved that one. So much science. You probably have some in your book too.
Yeah.
But it's all about knowing that we have the ability, and when we can see other people do it, like the 4-minute mile he talks about. Like once you find out that someone has done it, you are then like, oh, it's possible. And then you're able to do it just by knowing it's possible. And I love that you're bringing that to people.
Yeah. It's inspiration over information. I feel like you can give people the tools. Like we're working on some interactive, fun information people can have in their pocket, like having a holistic health coach in your pocket coming in 2024. But it's really more about inspiration. It's just knowing that like you absolutely can.
Yeah. What are the biggest pieces of advice you have for someone right now who's just on this self-development journey and trying to get more aligned to those values that you shared?
I think being gentle with yourself. That was a big one for me. Like I thought if it didn't hurt, it wasn't good. Like you had to push yourself, whether it's in the gym, whether you're like hyper healing, like it all can go to one extreme or the other. And so I think just being gentle with yourself and wherever you are and meeting yourself where you are is a great place to start. And then like biting off what you can chew, like not thinking you have to do it all at once. So that again goes into like being gentle with yourself, but not feeling like if I can't solve everything at once, it's not worth it. I think people get turned off by the process. They're like, I got to have a green juice and I can't drink coffee and I got to go to bed. It's like, okay, but yes, but like one at a time.
Yeah.
And then you start to feel amazing. And so it doesn't become a chore or a habit. It just becomes a lifestyle. So starting small, biting off what you can chew, and just being gentle with yourself, I think are good, like, starting points.
I love that. I think being gentle with yourself is so important because so often we can compare ourselves to people and all that they're doing. And it's like, oh my goodness, like let me observe where I am right now and make those small little changes. Bite off what you can chew. I started my meditation practice with like a 3 to 5 minute practice every morning. And I had a full-blown spiritual awakening from that. So it's possible to just do a little of anything and see such a benefit.
I mean, you are my meditation goals. Like, I literally, I'm like, I'm still an 8-minute kind of a girl in the mornings, but I would do anything to like get my ass up at 5:30.
Not easy. It's not easy.
And you show all pieces of it that like it's not easy, but the benefits are so powerful and they're so worth it.
It's always worth it. Like I've never woken up and was like, oh, I regret waking up late for that meditation, or I regret like going deep in 1 hour meditation. I only regret going to bed too late and not waking up early. Like, that's it. But it's so hard to break those patterns, and it's so much easier to do what doesn't serve us than what does.
Yeah, scrolling and eating at like 11 is awesome,
right?
You know, feels great, but that's a dopamine hit that like you know is not going to serve you later. I landed yesterday, and I'm like, I'm in New York City, I'm in Chinatown. I got a full-on matcha boba, knowing I was going to have a massive sugar headache later, but I did it. It was an intentional choice. I had a massive sugar headache later, but I had water and I feel fine now, but like that was a choice. So it's just like, you know, being intentional and making choices that like, you know, will serve you, or if you know that they won't, making that choice too, but knowing that it's a balance.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people shied away from like using the word discipline lately in our society. But I think it's so important. There has to be, I keep calling it this intuitive discipline, where you are holding yourself accountable enough, because we're human beings at the same time as multidimensional beings. We do need some type of structure, but also being able to flow. In the moments where like you need the day to sleep, you take the day to sleep, but knowing, being able to call yourself out on like when you need to kind of just you know, tell yourself like you have to get up for this, and having that discipline versus being easy on yourself and gentle on yourself. It's like this very, I'm sure you see that within your work.
Yeah, for sure.
Holding others accountable.
Yeah. You know, I think consistency makes people feel a little less terrified than discipline. Discipline, people feel like there's going to be a Navy drill sergeant blowing in their face, and it's like,
or like a consequence.
Yeah, or like a punishment. If you think about it as being consistent, then it sort of like eases the blow a little bit, I feel like. So for me, like I like to preach consistency. It's like I don't always want to get up and go to Pilates, but I know how great I'm going to feel after. You know, it took me a lot of years to go from like pounding the treadmill to Pilates as my main focus, but like those are the parts of the transition and the journey that like you go on when you do commit to consistency. So whether it's, you know, some people want to just go for a walk in the morning, that's beautiful. Like I don't really like going outside every morning. So for me, it's like doing what I know I can do in a consistent way that lights me up.
Totally. And that leaves you feeling good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like I see so many people, like I love Mel Robbins. She's always like, I'm on the treadmill and I hate it. I'm like, well, then you probably shouldn't be on the treadmill now. Like, find something that you do like to do. I love her. And I'm like, you got to do a workout that you actually like did you try yoga?
I do think that now we have access to so much at like our fingertips. And I really believe that no matter who you are, and if you don't like to move, you can find something that's enjoyable.
Thing for everybody.
Yeah, because if you don't feel good while you're doing it, chances are it's really not doing what you want, and you're not intuitive listening to your body. You should probably be meditating on it. Like, If you're saying like I hate this, that's the frequency you're vibrating out as you're doing it. I think it's so important. I was really into Soul Cycle for a while.
I've never been a cycler. I feel like a hamster on a wheel.
I was not a cycler either until I found Soul Cycle, because I love the music element.
Yeah, I mean it's a collective effervescent
expansive energy, and it feels like a performer. Like I was a cheerleader and dancer and a performer my whole life, so it felt like that. And Leo Rising, like I love that. So after that, like I found something that I love so much, and I said I'll never do a workout that I'm not enjoying. And stepped away from that because it was just like so hardcore cardio.
Yeah.
And actually, like at the time when I was having so much anxiety, it was actually the opposite of good for me because the adrenaline rush and the cortisol spike. Yeah. So now it's just like always seeking what feels as fun as that, but what works best in my body. And there are so many options in the times that we're living in.
I love that.
No.
One of my excuses for coming to the city was one, of course, to meet you and be here, but also I do the class at home.
Amazing. Love.
And I'm like, my favorite instructor is trying to get me in for tomorrow morning.
Who's your favorite?
Well, I mean, they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Carla Meeson is
Okay.
she's amazing. They all are.
I've taken Natalie's class before.
Oh, I love Natalie.
Yeah.
I mean, they all take you on such a journey. But like, it's something for everyone. There's a movement.
There is. There absolutely is. And I know that anyone listening is inspired to find what works for them.
Yeah.
Because once you find it, it's like it's a joy to go into that every day. It's a joy and a privilege to feel strong and powerful and healthy.
It's a gift to move your body. When you have people who can't, and you're like, I'm complaining that I have to go to the gym. Like, except if I couldn't.
It's so true.
You gotta like go back to those areas.
So true. So if listeners were interested in working with you, what are some things you offered, giving them an idea and how to contact you and reach you?
So for now, it's really just building the AWW community. So following at Asha Walker Wellness, I share weekly holistic health tips, movement motivation, meditation motivation. So right now, I'm just really building the community, and I've got some excited stuff slated for 2024. But speaking it into existence and manifesting it. But so some really fun interactive content coming in 2024. But Health in the Hood is my first baby. So you can really find me in either area. I'm either fundraising for Health in the Hood or I'm building out AWW. I'm managing my team. So I'm always around. That's for sure.
I love that. I'm so grateful that you came here and we had this chat. And I'm grateful for the work that you're doing in this world. And I can't wait to see these gardens pop up far beyond Miami.
Yeah, they will. I'm grateful for your work. You made meditating safe and validated in my world. Like my husband was like, I'm like, doing Erica's meditation. So get with it. And you need to sit down, and do it. So,
and you have to join me.
Yeah. I got him to go from, I'm never doing that to I probably should. So that's growth.
That is 100%
right.
Absolutely.
So thank you for everything you do. So great.
Thank you. Yeah, so this conversation completely spoke to my soul. For so many people to now have access to fresh fruits and vegetables and produce right in their neighborhood, it is life-changing, energetically, physically, spiritually, and I'm so grateful for the work she's doing. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Thank you so much for being here, and may the longtime sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.